Okay, so the patch 1.03 is out, and we have one real nerf for Dragunov. The last patch we had, I'm going to talk about Eddie Gordo. I think his reveal was absolutely amazing, but more importantly, let's quickly talk about. I don't think I need to make a separate video about it. That would be stupid. Honestly, this was a really disappointing thing to see that now they're putting a battle pass in Tekken. There's really no need for it. This was a full $70 game that they now have microtransactions in, and now they're going to put a paid battle pass in this thing as well. And it's going to be absolutely garbage. We all know that, especially most of the free tier and everything will be filled with the avatar garbage. Skins will be at the very end of it, and they will probably sell you levels to go along with. But all the shitty bad practices that other games are doing nowadays are all going to end up in this fighter pass as well. This really is disappointing. The only time I think these sorts of mechanics are justified are when you're talking about a free to play game. If you're talking about a free to play game, and we are not talking about paid power, we are not talking about pay to win stuff, then that's the only situation I think these things are okay in. Otherwise, this is a really bad direction. The game had got nothing but wins ever since it released. Every decision they made, everything they did with this game was received positively, except for I think the absolute top players like me, like Arslan Ash. Though those players were pretty vocal about not liking the heat system, thinking that the game's depth has been removed, the game's skill level has been dropped. But uh, I mean, you can agree or disagree with that, but at least most people really liked the direction this game was headed in, until they started doing this stuff, until they implemented the shop, until they started announcing this microtransaction stuff, battle pass stuff. This is really bad. This looks like the game is headed in a really bad direction. But what we are here to talk about today is the Dragunov changes that they have put forward. So there are two different types of changes: behavior versus balance. So behavior is supposed to be any thing that any change they've made to how the game or the character behaves, how the character performs. But in reality, a lot of nerfs are usually hiding behind these behavioral changes, because a lot of times the characters have setups or characters have gimmicks that weren't intended by the developer, but just through the emergent gameplay they show up in the character's gameplay. And they when they get nerfed, when that behavior gets removed, it ends up in these behavioral changes. But let's go over how Dragunov has been nerfed in this game. So to begin with, his heat smash, I think this is called, when you're already in heat, when you press the heat button during heat, this is heat smash, I think. I'm not very, I don't really care about the names, I just care about the inputs usually. This is a behavioral nerf, according to them, adjusted the tracking performance of the moves so that second attack is less likely to connect. Yes. So what was happening, I have the game booted up right here. Uh, what was happening was that if I do this, oh, I didn't start recording. Okay, so start recording. So if I record this and then go, oh no, I have to put Dragunov in heat. So heat activated, and so you see how this heat smash has 3 hits to it. The last two would sometimes connect. I think this happens at a distance. If you evade the first hit, or maybe when you're okay. Why am I getting caught? Yeah, that's the behavior that they are correcting, right? You see, I evade the first hit, Right. 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 So this is the behavior that they have removed. If I evade the first hit, which Dragunov just refuses to let me step that right there. See, that should not come. That should not connect. This is a behavioral change which to me absolutely makes sense. Even though technically this is a nerf, but this doesn't go against Dragunov's identity, and this doesn't go against like the common sense that you would think that if you've stepped a move and I haven't stopped, right? When I'm doing this, I don't stop exactly, right? I'm moving and still I get caught. I'm still stepping in that direction and I get caught. So that's not something that should happen. That should never happen. This is not a nerf per se. This is just a behavioral changes. This is just adjusting how a new move they gave him wasn't behaving the way it should be under the game's mechanics. You should be able to step Dragunov's running moves, his heat dash, especially if there are certain strings. Strings make sense that they track you, but this was supposed to be a single move, right? You press a single button, even if it has 3 components to it. If you step the first one, you should be able to avoid the whole thing. That this just makes sense. The second one is forward 1 plus 2 or down forward 1. The issue where performing certain inputs resulted in unintended moves has been fixed. So I'm not sure if this is what they're talking about, but this did happen to me a few times. I just attribute it to my controller being busted. I thought maybe I didn't press correctly, but this did happen to me. Maybe that's not what they're talking about, but sometimes I would press 1 plus 2 and I would get a down forward 1, right? Even though I'm pressing down forward 1 plus 2 just to show, if you press forward 1 plus 2, sometimes it would give you down forward 2. It doesn't often, this doesn't happen very often, happened very infrequently to me as well, but this is something that I have experienced, and it's a good thing that they've fixed, right? It's a great thing that they have finally fixed it. So not a big impactful change, but a positive change at least. Let's pause it so there's no more noise. Down forward 4. Okay, adjusted the collision detection with the opponent to make it less likely for a counter attack to miss when absorbing this attack with a power crush. So what this is, the wording is so weird, right? But down forward 4 is a really good mid check by Dragunov, but I don't see a lot of Dragunov players use this often, right? Especially lower level Dragunov players. If they want a mid check, they just go for this. But honestly, down for 4 is such a good mid check. It comes out in 12 frames. Even though it's not unsafe, it's -9. You lose your time completely. You lose your momentum. It's still a pretty good mid check just because of his. Just because of the distance, the range that it covers, right? The fact that this was that the count rate response, the armored move was not getting a counter hit when it was interrupting down for 4 is a bad thing, but I don't think I've ever seen that happen, honestly. If it was happening, it was happening very infrequently. This was probably a very niche thing, so I don't think this move loses any loses any of its utility. However, I don't know what they mean by they've reduced the chance. Have they made it so that the move won't connect from far enough away? So they've reduced the distance between the opponent and Dragunov when this move connects? Or is it just something on the hitbox side, on the hitbox properties side that they have changed? Because if it's the former, that's they remove the distance between the two, that's a bad thing. This move is really good because of its long range. If you remove the range, this move isn't really that good, right? So even though it's 12 frame check, mid check, the fact that you'll get -9 on block is a really bad thing. So if you want to remove the long range from this move, you have to make it at least equal to like down for 2, right? It should, in that case, down for 2 is -2, and down for 4 should be something like -4, -5 at max. -5 is still, I think, is a bit much. But I don't think this is going to be the case. I think this is just a hitbox change. This is just going to be a fine change. Dragunov won't be affected severely by this change either. But it is, if you're not using this move in your game plan, I would suggest integrating this into your mid check, especially in the neutral. This, when Dragunov doesn't have the offensive pressure, this is a really good check to see if you catch the opponent pressing something and then immediately going into your running move, right? Yeah. So that immediately going into your running move if you get the counter. So that's you have to use this move smartly. Don't just throw it out, even though it's 12 frame and safe. Don't think that you can throw that move out and willy-nilly whenever you want. But it's a really good move. It's a good alternative to down for 3. So yeah, his grab, the only nerf that Dragunov has received in this patch, or I would say since his release, this is an actual nerf. So what this is increased the recovery time for Dragunov after successfully connecting with a throw. This adjustment is made considering unexpected follow-up hit that occurred. So what follow-up hit are they talking about? It's I would not be surprised if there are some Dragunov mains that don't even know this. But in low levels, what you could do is you could throw out this move. Right? What I'm going to do, since we are going to talk about this, I'm just going to record it here. This is one of the most underrated features of this practice mode. I don't have to now sit through the entire animation while we talk about other stuff, right? So you could guaranteed connect it down for you, right? So this was a problem. You could connect a lot of things, but if the opponent did not know how to respond, you would get a full combo here. Or at the wall you would get back for 3. Right? At the wall you would get this and you would get the wall combo and everything. But this is not going to work at against any PC player, right? For obvious reasons. And even if they don't know, if they don't have the knowledge, they haven't played against Dragunov a lot, especially in Tekken 7. Like, Dragunov wasn't as popular as he is now. So a lot of people just didn't know that his grab can lead into a full launcher. So even if you catch a good player with this gimmick once, you're not going to catch them again. So this isn't a high level viable thing. Instead, at high level, what you would still get something for free, which was down 4, right? So down 4 is just guaranteed in every situation. Don't do the whole thing, because the whole string is -4 and they can block the second hit. -14, sorry. Or you can do the back 4, because even if they decide to even if they decide to roll on the ground or something like that, back force, at least the first hit will come. So this is some damage, right? So down 4 is 9 damage, and back 4 is 12 damage, so even though it's more damage, back 4 actually doesn't connect if the side roll left. Right. So even at higher level, that getting out of down 4 is just not a thing. Down. Unless they quick stand up and block low. Other than that, there's just no escape from this, which they're not going to do. They don't want to block low every single time they stand up. Right, all the options connect here as well. Right, except for down 4-2. The down 4-2 only connected in every single option except for front roll, side roll, and left roll. So these three, or staying on the ground down 4-2, won't connect. So that's why the actual option that most people went with was either back 4 or down 4, right? So that's the interaction that has been removed now. Very clearly, this interaction won't work. I think what they actually wanted to get rid of was the launcher. This is probably, I can imagine, really frustrating for new players who don't know how to deal with this stuff. I'm pretty sure that that's where this change is coming from. So other than that, I think this is the only thing that is affected by this change. Other than that, nothing major has been changed for Dragunov's up for 1+2 throw. Next is his time with opponent slowdown. His command low parry adjusted the input reception to make it easier to perform moves even from a crouching position. I think this is like a translation mistake, because shouldn't it be it's easier to perform this move even from a crouching, or perform the move, something like that. What moves? Because otherwise I don't know what moves they're talking about. So my guess is that they're saying that they made it easier to perform this move from the crouching position, but it's already easy, right? Down 1+2, there's no problem in doing this right now. I'm crouching, I let go of the crouch and I do the command low parry, it still works. So I'm not sure what they are talking about. It doesn't matter, because you would always get more damage from your regular low parry anyway. Let's just compare the two for the sake of completion. Record this, right? So now if we do the low parry, the command low parry, it does 40 damage. The good thing about this is that it switches position, and you don't have to be as accurate with it. The hitbox, the window to do the low parry is slightly larger, I believe, than your typical low parry. And you switch the position. So if you're at the wall, this option might actually be better. So you can switch the wall, switch the position, and you can get your pressure going. But 40 damage versus 44 damage, right? Or even right into pressure. That's into pressure, right? So this is always just the better option. Going for the regular low parry is always the better option, right? So there's really no need to go for the command low parry, but if they made it easier to connect it, great. That's a good thing. That's a plus. So Dragunov really not nerfed hard, or his game plan is going to remain the same. Oh no, I forgot. I said that I started with there has never been a major nerf for Dragunov. This was his biggest nerf, right? Can you block, please? No. Yeah. This was his biggest nerf. The distance that this creates. This was the major nerf that brought Dragunov down to, I would say, from the absolute top three character all the way to, I would say now Dragunov is easily like top 10ish characters. I would say he would, if I had to make a tier list, I would probably place him around like seventh or eighth position. But different people will have different uh, their own different interpretation of how Dragunov feels to play against. I'm pretty sure since I'm a Dragunov main, it's much easier for me to counter him. But I'm pretty sure if you don't know how Dragunov works, if you've never labbed him, he feels like an absolutely oppressive monster. So that's where this idea that Dragunov is top tier comes from, I think. I've been seeing since the very first patch there is no need to nerf Dragunov too much. His damage is fine, his game plan is fine, his plus frames are fine, simply because he doesn't have a lot else going for him, right? If you take all the things that Dragunov has and put them on someone like Paul, who has amazing mix-ups, or Kazuya, or a full character like Jin or Devil Jin, or a gimmicky character like like almost the entire cast. And there's no shortage of gimmicky characters in this movie. If you give these things to any of those characters, yes, these tools become too oppressive. But because Dragunov has no setups, has no gimmicks, has no neutral, has no comeback potential, has finally has some lows, but not comeback-ish lows, right? He doesn't have that sort of an oppressive game plan that other characters have. I think he doesn't have that gimmick. So uh, these moves do not need to be nerfed, and thankfully the developers seem to understand that as well. Except for this really unfortunate thing, I think the rest is the patch seems pretty fine. I've gone over the common changes section as well. Nothing seems to, even though there are plenty of changes with the with stage interactions, with heat mechanics, Dragunov hasn't really specifically received any major nerf. I think he is in a really, really good position, in a really good state. If you ask me what I think about Dragunov, I would say he's in a really good spot where he is a very perfectly calibrated character to climb with. The climb isn't too hard with him, but at the same time, he is not a free win character either. You're not going to get free wins with this character. If you pick this up and you go ham with gimmicks like someone like Xiao Yu, someone like Panda Kuma, or any of those characters, or Devil Jin now unfortunately has entered, in my opinion, the gimmicky territory with all of his weird shenanigans. I can honestly make an entire video about why this character has been made much worse in this game, unfortunately. But enough of my rambling. I think this is where we should end this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video when I make one. Thank you anyway. Thank you so much for joining.